All right, so perfect, thank you. I think we're going to get started. All right, perfect. Just let me know you can see everything, and then we are going to jump right in.
Yeah, it looks good.
Perfect. All right. Welcome, everybody. Just a couple of reminders. If you have a question or you want to jot down some information, you're welcome to use the chat feature, which is a little bubble in the middle of your Zoom menu. And you are welcome to mute yourself. Or if you want to jump in as we're having our discussion, feel free to unmute yourselves and then ask your questions away. Either one is fine. Always at the end of the workshop, we always have question and answer session. And for quite a few of you that have registered, you did put in some questions in the registration that I'm definitely going to go over as well at the end if we haven't covered them during the presentation. So welcome everyone, good morning. What we are talking about today is helping a senior, whether it's your family member or your friend, or perhaps it is you, just asking yourself some questions that I am also asking you to kind of think about and consider when you are in that golden age where you are either retired or getting ready to retire and you are exploring different options. So that's what we're here today to do. So I'm asking you to be open-minded, and then maybe have a pen and a piece of paper handy, maybe to jot down some of your own thoughts and ideas as we're going through. Because we're going to send you a copy of this recording, you can always go back and rewatch it again, because sometimes it does take a few times for the information to maybe get absorbed and to get your own kind of thoughts process going, so that way you can take the information and utilize it for your own situation. My name is Olga St. Pierre. I am a real estate agent by trade. I am a full-time agent with a team. I also specialize in working with seniors and their family members. It is a big part of what we do. And my mission is to help seniors and their family members to make a decision from start to finish. It's not just about selling the house and figuring out what's next. It's about making a huge lifetime change and go into something new. And it's very stressful, it's very difficult. And that's why we have designed actually a senior series to help you and someone that you know that could potentially benefit. So if you like this workshop and this presentation, please forward it to them. Please forward the link to our workshops to them if you think that they can also benefit. And of course, this is all done from the comfort of everyone's home. We're on Zoom, and all this information is completely free of charge. So just a little bit about our team. In July, it's going to be 14 years in the business full time. We focus on serving clients and their families in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, yet we also work with others because our relocation service, of course, goes anywhere in the United States and Canada, because a lot of people are moving out of state. They want to settle maybe in Florida. Last year, we had clients that moved to Florida, to Texas, and recently we had clients that relocated to South Carolina. So our mission is to help you make your process as stress-free as possible and figure out how to get you where you are wanting to go, and do it completely for you as a one-step solution. So that is where our concierge service comes in. It's completely free of charge to you. If you need recommendations for movers, for packers, for financial advisors, contractors, everything that you can think of, it's one-stop shop. We are here to help you make this process as stress-free as possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So why is the senior moving a little bit different? And I have worked with seniors for years. And when I originally designed this workshop, I realized that there's not enough information out there for seniors and their family members to really realize and have some kind of checklist, step-by-step list of things that they should consider. So overall, if you want to think about it, making a move is stressful no matter how old you are and whether you have family or you're doing it by yourself. It's always very stressful, and it's actually one of the life's top 10 stressors. So it is on the same level as someone passing away or having, being sick, or having a divorce. It's very stressful because it's a huge change, and that change for most of us is challenging to kind of figure out and overcome. And with seniors, as you move through your life stages, or life lessons, a lot of the times your focuses have changed, where the yard might be too big, the steps are too steep, there's just too many rooms because your kids now have homes of their own, there's too much stuff that you have accumulated in your home. And with that, also with the different age and stage in your life, you also have different priorities. You may have health challenges, and that also means that you need to make some new decisions. And a lot of that time, it comes with feelings of loneliness and stress and frustration and anxiety. And that's why a lot of people just don't do anything, because they get too overwhelmed and they don't even know where to start. And then they just push it off and procrastinate. And that's why I always state that you don't have to do it all alone. There are a lot of people that can help you. You just need to ask someone who has the resources, someone like me, to help you at least put you on the right track. I always know that some people will come to me that has nothing to do with real estate, that I always tell them, listen, ask me your question. And if I know that I can help you, I can at least give you some ideas on where to get the information that you need, so that way you can make your decisions. So as many of you know, I'm a big believer in having a notebook and something to write with, not actually putting information in the phone, but actually physically having a pen and a notepad. And that's what I'm asking you to consider to do as well, as you are making your plans or you are helping someone else to make these plans. Some of the questions that we're going to talk about today is figuring out how we're feeling about our decision about making these changes, where we're going to live, finances, figuring out what to do with the stuff that we have in our home that we have accumulated over the years. Who can help us do this? How do we get rid of the stuff we don't want? And where do I start? Right. So these are some of the questions that I'm going to ask you today that we're going to go through in this workshop. So making a move about and making a decision about making a move, I think, is one of the biggest things that you can do when you are starting to think about this process, or you are starting to help someone else to make these decisions. And whenever we talk about change is always tough for most people, because we get comfortable, we know our surroundings, and we prefer to stay there. And our brains are wired to help us be in the comfort zone, right? It's as soon as the brain thinks that it's some kind of a threat to its person, it's going to keep you away from that discomfort and the unknown, and push you again towards the comfort zone. And when we are talking about downsizing and making a move, all of that is the unknown. And that's where sometimes the brain takes over. So this is where we need to work with ourselves and to have a conversation with ourselves. I know a lot of us do, just having like internal dialogue about how do we feel about our decision. And I'm encouraging you to keep an open mind and have the following conversations with yourself. So number one, you're not downsizing, you are making a right size move, because the 4-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom colonial with a huge yard was a perfect idea for when you had 2 small kids and you wanted them to feel comfortable. You wanted them to have a big yard, and you wanted to have a big garden. And that was the right move for that period in your life. Yet now, when your kids are already grown and they may have their own 4-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom colonials for their own children, now that house feels a burden. It's overwhelming, it's too big, and it's actually causing you more anxiety than pleasure, because you realize that the home does just not fit your needs anymore. You're also not just moving, you are moving forward. I want you to think about and feel comfortable and excited about what is to come. Many people don't realize that, and I always say that in our decluttering class, which is part of our senior series, is the fact that if you're not planning on making a move right now, but you're thinking about it maybe in a year or two, I always suggest to clients and in my other workshops is start decluttering today. Don't wait until you absolutely have to, because 99.9% of us don't realize just how much stuff we have accumulated over the years until you start to go through it and pack it. And then you'll realize just how quickly a big one box gets filled with things that you plan on taking with you. So don't wait, don't overthink it, just do a little bit. And that's what we talk about. If you want to join us at our decluttering workshop, we do take it step by step and go through some of the options for the decluttering. So you are moving forward. And when you declutter, you realize just how much stuff that you had you no longer need or want. And when you get rid of it, you feel so much freedom and you are almost able to breathe easier. So it's amazing to hear some of this feedback when I hear from clients that they're in the process of doing that. You can also go from fear to worry, from worrying to feeling confident and positive with anticipation, because you now have some kind of a plan. You're starting with a checklist, you're jotting some of your thoughts down, you are writing things down as to what you want to accomplish. And I can guarantee you that your brain is going to feel happier because you are writing things down, because it's a chemical reaction and it releases the good hormones when you are writing things down because you are making progress, right? You can also go from feeling of leaving and loss to appreciating the new life that will unfold. You are not ever going to lose the memories of your kids and the events that took place in this house. You will always take them with you, and you have videos and you have pictures that you can refer back to. Those are always going to be there with you. So I think a lot of us have challenges with leaving what we have because we are feeling that we're going to lose something. And if you just reframe your thoughts and think about the fact that you're leaving the things that are actually being a burden to you right now, to being open to having new opportunities and appreciating of the new things that you can do now, right? Because you're now in a new stage of your life, you can then just kind of shrug it off and then get that burden off your shoulders and start getting excited about the new things that you can do. So where am I going to live? This is one of the questions that is always tough to answer. And I have a few seniors right now, they're just not sure. And what's important to do is to take your notebook and just jot some of your thoughts down, right? Review your options and think about what does that ideal home look like. Maybe you are in the big house right now and you just want to go down to having just 2 bedrooms and an office. Do you want to be all on one floor? Do you want to be in the community where there's lots of things to do, right? It's like having like a clubhouse and different clubs and activities to do. Or do you want to you don't want to even bother owning a home anymore. You just want to go into the apartment, just rent something so that way you don't ever have to worry about maintenance, right? Also think about the area you may want to live in. Do you want to just downsize and stay in the same town or in the same county, in the same state? Or you may consider moving out of state, which is, let's say it's Florida, right? We're talking about cross-country trip, which is now a whole other list of checklists and considerations, because now we're talking about a different type of move. Do you want to go into some kind of a community? Maybe it's 55 plus community because you don't want to take care of the snow or mow your lawn anymore, right? Do you want to go into a condo where you don't even have to worry about maintaining your roof or the exterior and you live in your own place inside that you own, yet everything else gets taken care of for you, right? So lots of things to consider. And this is why it's so important for you to start thinking about this sooner than later, because there is a lot of decisions, a lot of things that you need to think about and decide. And also don't forget to have a serious conversation with yourself if you are at some point in the near future may need to consider a certain level of care, whether it's personal care or pertaining to your health. It's something to consider if it's something that you may want to look into, that you want to have in your independent living or potentially assisted living at some point. or you may certain, maybe you or your loved one may need help with some everyday activities like getting dressed or having a bath. Because at some point, some people may need that. And I know that it's hard to think about it now because you tell yourself, well, now I'm feeling great. What I can tell you is that I have seen things happen overnight that completely changes the whole plan. You just never know. So just think about the fact that we're all human and we're all going to get somewhere one day. And of course, a lot of people are thinking, you know what, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay in your own home. We actually have a separate aging in home workshop in our series that we spend a whole hour talking about is if it's viable. You may be surprised, but a lot of the times your own home may be your worst option because of primarily number one is for safety. So is that option available to you? Well, you need to ask yourself some questions. And what we suggest that you do is perform a home safety assessment. It is a detailed document, it's checklist. You go through and you ask these questions of yourself or of your family member, and you answer those questions and you jot down thoughts and ideas. Senior living options. This is one of this topic of what are my options and where I can go can probably be its own course in college, or maybe even a major in college, because there is so much information out there. So what I wanted to show you here is a visual summary of some of the most common options that we have available, right? So overall, it goes from the least amount of care and the least cost to potentially 24-hour care as needed, which will be the most cost involved. Okay, so if you look at the bottom left corner, we start out with adult daycare, where it's a lower cost of daily or weekly, a few times a week, socialization, entertainment, and some supervision. I know that my grandmothers have attended adult daycare for quite a few years, and they really enjoyed it because they could just go in and talk to their friends, have something to eat. They loved to play games and bingo and discuss movies and current events. And then they took the transportation back to where they lived in the apartment. So they enjoyed it. It was their appointments. It was their, goal for that day. And it also gives them a purpose and something to look forward to, right? So then we also have independent living, active seniors, senior apartments. And then as you progress to the right and upper right-hand corner, when you are talking about needing the most amount of care, we're talking about memory care living and the nursing homes where your loved one will need a 24-hour supervision and 24-hour care. So the other spreadsheet that I really like is this one, where it actually talks about and breaks down what each of the senior options may offer to you. So take the time, take a look at it and see what's important to you as of now, and also something that may be important to you down the road, right? If we're talking about maybe a few years down the road, what are some of the things that you absolutely need to have? And then take a look and see which of the senior options do offer it for you. So if you're looking, again, for something that offers everything that you could possibly need, you are looking at potentially memory care or continuing care retirement community that is going to be the most investment involved. The next step we're going to talk about is budgeting and reviewing your finances. When you're looking at senior options, and as we just mentioned to you before, reviewing your finances is an extremely critical step. Where are the funds going to come from for you to enter a community if you want to buy into something where it's a campus and you want to go, let's say, from independent living because this is where you are now to potentially full-time nursing care because you think that maybe in 5 to 10 years you may need that or your loved one may need that, right? A lot of these facilities are going to require you to put a deposit down. And a lot of the time, some of those entry fees in some of these communities can be in 6-digit numbers. You have your entrance fee, and then you also have your monthly fee as well, like having a rental. And every community does it differently. So What are we talking about? What does that make sense to you? What do your finances look like? I encourage you to meet with your financial advisor, with your accountant and your attorney to help you figure this all out. You should have a team of people that help you get this plan done, right? There's just a lot of nuances and information that you need in order to have a well thought out overall plan on how you're going to make this work. Okay, attorney can help you with the life and estate planning. You can talk to them about which housing option may be best for you based on the financial decisions that you have to make. And overall, if you think about it, is what do you have saved? And let's say you have a 401k and some retirement money, and you have some stocks stashed away. You need to look at what that value is now. And is that amount going to last you through your golden years? Because you're going to start draining your accounts and taking money out, which means that your accounts are not going to grow as much as they were up until the point you started to take your money out. So all of these things, the financial advisor and the accountant will explain to you that you may not even think about or realize now. If you are looking for recommendations for these professions, please don't just pull them out of the yellow pages. I can tell you that a lot of people have the degrees and they have a license to practice being an attorney, but they don't know. That just because they have a degree and they advertise does not mean that they actually know what they're doing. Unfortunately, I deal with a lot of attorneys as part of our real estate practice where I would say to myself, I personally would never use him. So that's just a fact of life. So we're happy to make these recommendations to you if you are just in the planning stages. Please don't hesitate to ask us. Next, sit down and have an honest conversation with your loved ones. I can't stress enough just how important this step is. You need to tell your loved ones everything that is important to you. Do you need help right now? And by the way, it is perfectly okay to ask for help. And most of the time, your family members do want to help. They just don't know how they can do that. So having an honest conversation and having that open communication is going to make everything so much easier. You need to explain to your family where to find your important documents. If you don't have this set up now, I encourage you that you do. You need to have your directive, your will, list of accounts, digital asset inventory, your insurance, everything in place, all in one place. Who is going to be in charge in case suddenly you are incapacitated and you're not able to make your own decisions? Or who is going to be in charge of your estate when you pass on? And again, some of these things can happen suddenly. I had a situation a couple of years ago where I was working with the wife and they were getting ready to downsize. And she said, Olga, you know what? My husband's health is really not that great. We can't maintain the house anymore. So we're starting to clear out and do some of these things so we can sell the house and then move closer to my daughter. And you know what happened? One day, her husband actually calls me and he says, hey, just wanted to let you know that Kathleen passed away yesterday. And that was a huge blow to me because I realized just how vulnerable all of us are, because she was worried about her husband who was in a certain health and had some health issues. And yet here we are, the wife that was supposed to be the rock for the two of them is now suddenly gone. So I encourage you to realize that all of us are vulnerable. And the sooner you start making these plans, as uncomfortable as they are, the better it is going to be for you, your future, and your family. So the next step is we're going to talk about all the stuff that we have. What am I taking with me? What am I not taking with me? And what am I going to do with this stuff? And my encouragement to you is to, once you know where you think you might be going, you can figure out and design a floor plan for your new home. And it doesn't have to be anything difficult or elaborate. Think about how many bedrooms you may want and what would be the minimum square footage that you would like to have, so that way you feel comfortable in that space. At least start there. And then you can say, well, in each room, I need to have, like in my bedroom, I need to have these pieces. In my office, I'm going to have these pieces. And then I'm going to have a spare bedroom when my grandkids may want to visit, and just jot it down. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, office, kitchen, and so forth. And just create a core plan of things, okay? And then, yes, here's where I'm going to ask you to start going through your things that you have accumulated in your home for the last 30, 40 or more years, because there is no better time to start as today, right? So yesterday has passed. So don't think about what you could have done yesterday and then blame yourself that you should have started earlier. Let's just focus on what we can do today. All of us can start today and spend an hour a day doing something, right? So please, I encourage you to join us in our declutter class where we talk a little bit more about it. What we like to do is sort our stuff in a few organized piles, whether it's a bag or a box or a pile, right? Don't overthink it and don't overcomplicate it. And then that's how we start. We start in one corner, in one room with one cabinet, and we figure out what we're doing with those things, okay? If you are feeling overwhelmed and you think that you're not going to be able to do it yourself, and maybe you have boxes that are in the basement or in the attic that need to come down for you to start sorting things, please let us know. I have recommendations for people that can help you, some organizers that also have connections. Maybe you have things that are valuable and antiques that need to be appraised. You need to start thinking about these things now. If you have big furniture that you're not planning on taking with you, furniture is the biggest challenge to get rid of now. So I encourage you to start with that first. Who can help you from start to finish? Just remember, please don't get overwhelmed that you think you have to do it alone. That is absolutely not the case. We are here to help you. And yes, it does take a community sometimes, and that's perfectly okay. There are professional organizers. There are senior moving managers that almost like they're like general contractors, can get everything coordinated. Our team coordinates your move from start to finish. If that is what you're looking for, we can help you get everything gone through, organized, sold, packed, donated, given away, and then get you where you need to go, and we create and help you work through that plan. So think of what you might need and then let us know. And then we are happy to provide you with recommendations. And as you can imagine, as we're going through this workshop, all this thinking through and making plans and actually doing is taking time. So that's why I'm always encouraging everyone to start as soon as you can, because all of it is going to take time. So what am I going to do with the things that I'm not taking with me? Don't worry. Again, we do have a plan. We can make arrangements for you for those items to be sold, to be donated, or just to be removed. And that is also a plan that we talk about in our Decluttering Your Home workshop. So what about my home? A lot of the times, figuring out what we're doing with our home is, like on a scale of A to Z in our alphabet, we're probably about 60 or 70% there in our overall decision-making process. That's probably one of the simplest ways that I can explain to you. And for many of us, our home is one of our biggest investments that we have. And the equity in our home is what we need in order to get to the next step in our life journey, right? So I always say, again, if you're not thinking about doing anything now, that's okay. However, knowing where you are with the equity of your home is something important that you should be kept up on a regular basis, at least once a year. I think it's important to understand what's going on in your neighborhood, in your community, and what is the value of your home today, and where we think the market may be heading in the direction in the next 12 months. Although, of course, as you know, I don't have a crystal ball to predict it, I can give you a good idea because the value of your home depends on your location, whether you're in a good school district, and of course, on the condition of your home. So if you are planning on, let's say, moving into a continuing care community, a life living community, that may cost you a six-digit number of a deposit to move in, then getting the most amount of money out of your home is very important to you. So during our meeting, which we can do over the phone, I can do it on Zoom, or I can do it in person, we start this conversation and ask, what is the most important thing, right? If for some people, they need to get into community really quickly and they need to sell their home really quickly, there's a few options there. We can just sell the home the way it is, right? Or we can necessitate and then price the home for a quick sale. Or if we know that we have time and there's potentially some updates and repairs that can be done to the home to make sure that the value increases with those repairs, we're going to plan on doing that. And remember, when you are talking about doing repairs, we need to get some contractors lined up. We need to get quotes. We need to get the job scheduled. And especially right now, where contractors are extremely busy, there's shortage of labor, there's shortage of materials. It's even more critical to make these plans as early on as possible. We do have another workshop number 6 in our senior series where we talk about how do we get your home ready to sell, where I dive into the process a little bit more. And we talk about what is that planning and process looks like. So where would I would suggest that you go from here? So number one, all of us have individual stories and needs and plans. So I encourage you to jot down some of your thoughts in your notebook and answer some of these questions. Where am I going? What do I need to plan? If I'm not sure where I'm going, jot down some of your thoughts that you have. I want to stay in the area. I do want to be on one floor living. I don't want to take care of the big yard anymore, or I don't want to ever worry about cutting the grass or taking care of the snow, or I don't want to be here because I don't want to be in the cold weather anymore. So jot some of your things down. And what I also have found useful is if you are really not sure, create your pros and cons, right? Plus and minus. And you can jot your things for, what do you like in your home? Maybe you want to stay versus what you don't like in your home, or things that you definitely want and things that maybe you're not sure about. But the most important thing is that you need to start brainstorming the ideas for your situation and where you want to head over next. We also have a lot of resources for seniors. I mentioned a lot of forms to you, including the home safety assessment checklist, the digital inventory spreadsheet. I have all of that available to you for free at no charge. If that is going to help you make your plans, then I know that I'm doing my job and helping you. So please head over to this link. Just click on the items that you want and we will email to them or mail them to them, whichever you prefer. If you need recommendations for organizers, contractors, helpers, again, anyone that can help you make your move and make your plans, please let us know. And of course, you can join us for all the workshops that I already mentioned to you to help you get to your next destination and make your plan and make your move as stress-free as possible. And you can find all the workshops at Live with Olga website. Also, if you follow me on Eventbrite, if that's how you registered, all of our workshops are posted on there too, and you can just quickly register and we'll remind you when the next workshop is coming up as well. If you want to reach me, I am always around. I'm always working and helping people through my phone, on my text, or in my email. So that is the best way to reach me. And if you are on social media, I usually hang out on Facebook most of the time, and you can find me there as well. So that's what I have to share with you today. This is a first workshop in our series for seniors where we just touch upon some of these things that I already mentioned to you. So if you want to join us for some of the other ones, then just head over to our schedule and then we will let you know when the next workshops that are coming up. Okay. So I know that we had some questions for the people that registered. Let me just take a look at them real quick. And I can let you know. One of the questions that I get quite often, and that's one of the questions that we have listed, is from Diane. Diane, I think you're on, right? Yeah, perfect. Is what is the most affordable housing option for seniors? And what I can tell you is that I get this question a lot. However, there is no easy answer. And the reason is because everybody's circumstances are different. I would suggest you, if you think about it, that the way you have to look at it is affordability is not just in the sense of money, but also affordability in the sense of making sure that you are the most comfortable of what you need to accomplish. You are safe in your living environment, and your health is being taken care of. So that's where we talk about having a home safety assessment done for your home, where you have to make some hard decisions and determine that even though you right now are the most comfortable in your home, and perhaps you don't have a mortgage on your home, and you think that it's going to be the best way because it's going to be the least expensive, yet there are so many other considerations that you need to think about if it's your home is actually going to be the safest and the cheapest option for you down the road. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm wondering if actually it'll be a transitional move, like we'll downsize initially, and then as our health deteriorates, we may have to move again into a retirement community where the availability of assisted care, so I'm thinking of my next move as almost being an interim move, as a way to save money, because I don't need all those bells and whistles yet, but I may sometime in the future. So actually, we've made our decision that we are going to downsize to a duplex rather than a single family home. And we're going to be living next to my daughter. So they will be available to help us, but as the years go by, I would anticipate we'd have to then go into some type of assisted living or, retirement community. So the full burden is not on my daughter.
Wonderful. You have made quite a few great decisions already. So I applaud you for thinking this through. And you know what? There's nothing wrong in making an interim decision that you can say to yourself, you know what, this might be my kind of next step in my journey for the next few years. What I ask and I invite everyone to do is not to stop thinking that this is where I'm at and that's all I want to do right now, but think about, okay, well, what if after a few years I may need more care? Where do I want to go and what are my options? Right. I also encourage you to visit, because I know the area that you live in, but let's say, I don't know if your daughter is local or not, but let's say that she's local. Go visit some of our communities. I have visited quite a few of them because I wanted to get familiar myself, because I have a lot of clients who ask me these questions. But go visit some of these communities. There's no commitment. They're not going to make you do anything. And then say, you know what, I'm just exploring my options. I may consider doing this down the road. I just want to see what it looks like. You can go talk to residents too and ask them what made you decide to come here? And at least it's going to give you an idea what the campus looks like. What does this mean? And to see if it's a good option or not. Right. So that way you understand how, because every community is different. They operate differently. Some of them only have an independent living. Some of them have the independent living like wing. And then some of them will also have the memory care and more assisted living floors or wings, right? Depending on the size of campus. Think of it almost as like a college campus where there's different schools, right? Some of them have different schools. Some of them have floors or wings. So takes some time and takes a little bit of work, of course, yet you're going to familiarize yourself and feel a little bit more comfortable because you're going to have options that you already explored rather than fearing the unknown and just say, I'm going to deal with it later, because sometimes later comes sooner than we want or think.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand the more desirable places actually have waiting lists, and that sometimes you should get on a waiting list, even if your name comes up, you're not committed to move. So that's something else to consider, getting on a waiting list if you find a place that you really like.
Absolutely. I have a couple of seniors that are on the waiting list, and some of those waiting lists can take years.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
And if your name comes up, it doesn't mean you have to take it. They just push you down on the list if you can tell them, listen, I'm not ready yet. Right. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to check with each community to see how their waiting list procedures work. Right. Some of them might say, listen, if you get on this list and we call you, you have to take it. So then you decide for yourself, okay, then this is not the right move for me, because what if I'm not ready at that time? Like maybe you say, I want more flexibility with my waiting list. So that is a good point too, as well, Diane. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then a couple of other ladies asked about how to downsize and help with decluttering and downsizing. So I just had that one brief slide for you in this particular workshop, but please join us. We have a declutter workshop that runs every month. A lot of people join us just for a, pep and cheer me up and let's do it again. And they will share some of their wins and successes or still challenges. So you are welcome to join us as well. We have the next one coming up in July. So just check our schedule and we will put you on our mailing list, in our email list, and then you will know when the next class is coming up. So that way you'll definitely be kept apprised. Let's see. All right, what else do we have? All right, perfect. So hopefully I gave you some food for thought. Hopefully some of this information is helpful. And we hope to see you at our next class. And of course, as always, if you feel more comfortable in talking about this in private, you're welcome to reach out. I usually do follow up after the workshops to see if you have any additional questions. So be on the lookout for an email and maybe a text or phone call from us, because all we want to do is just be helpful to you and help you get to your next destination on your life journey. So any last thoughts, suggestions, questions before we wrap up for today? All right, well, let me see. Thank you, Ashley. We are connected with the Burlington County Libraries and we do a lot of workshops with them. So thank you so much, Ashley, as always, for including us. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.